So I want to call the meeting to order tonight. Tonight we have Mr. O'Neill, Ms. Luciano, Mr. Kimball, and myself. Mr. Rich is still working with the Town Manager Search Committee, and they are busy this evening, so we're going to carry on. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Units, have you heard from Sergeant Eisner or the chief? Are they coming tonight?
They are not coming.
Okay.
Sergeant Eisner is not around today. Let me read that.
Yeah. Mr. Kimball.
It's a letter from Chief Brian Clark regarding Sergeant John Eisner. This letter is to inform you that it is my intention to retire from full-time service from the Norton Police Department effective July 6, 2025. I would also respectfully request that you consider allowing me to continue as serve as a special police officer retired status. It has been my honor and pleasure to have served the town of Norton for the past 43 plus years. I am thankful that I have had the opportunity to work with such well-trained, educated, and professional group of men and women that comprise your current department. You and I both started our careers in this department during a different era of policing. I know you are proud of the department, as you should be. You led its transformation to what is today, and are preparing it for the next generation to take over. I, for one, thank you for that. I would also like to thank your command staff, as well as members of the patrol and detective divisions, for the assistance and respect they afforded me over the years. The working camaraderie that currently exists within the department is at such a level that it would make other departments envious. And signed Sergeant John D. Eisner.
Thank you. We also have a certificate of appreciation for Sergeant Eisner that hopefully we'll be able to present to him at a future meeting.
Mr. Chair, could I suggest he's asking to be appointed as a special police officer, retired status. I wonder if you would entertain a motion to consider
I'd wait until the chief sends over.
I was gonna say that we have to have on the agenda and stuff too, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, we have the appointment of the Joint Transportation Planning Group representative and alternate representative. Mr. Stefanelli, would you like to come up and say a couple of words? Well, you go ahead and speak, and then we'll see if we get a motion.
Okay. He's good. These ex-military guys, boy, they got the answers. I would like very much Ralph Stefanelli, 12 James Street. 53 years in the town, almost on every committee. This one is the big one, the traffic committee, because that's where the money is. And I know what doors to knock on, and I've been around long enough. And I'm also a past representative for Serpent. And congratulations to Miss Luciano for being the new Serpent rep.
Thank you.
You're going to love it. We'll share.
Okay.
Collaborate, that's the new word.
Yeah.
We'll collaborate. I would like to place my name in nomination for the Traffic Study Commission at Serpent.
I would entertain a motion to appoint Mrs. Stefanelli as the Joint Transportation Planning Group representative.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint for years 2025, 2026, Ralph Stefanelli to the Joint Transportation Planning Group, the JTPG, as our representative.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Mr.
Thank you.
Stefanelli.
I'll
All
do
those
my
opposed?
best, guys.
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
Is there anyone available for the alternate?
Yes, Jared Ferrara, the highway superintendent, said he would be the alternate.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for Jared Ferrara for alternate for the Joint Transportation Planning Group.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Stefanelli, and thank you, Jared. Next up, we have the appointment of the Bristol County Advisory Board member. Mr. Units, do you have some information about that for us?
I don't remember who, was Kevin the rep? Does anybody remember?
I
Kev-
was.
Kevin, what's that?
I was. This is the Bristol County Aggie School.
Yes.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
I don't mind continuing, but if someone else is excited about it, that's fine too.
You see the hands.
I'm happy to continue.
Chairman, make a motion to appoint Denise Luciano to the Bristol County Advisory Board.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Luciano. We have reappointments for boards and committee terms expiring June 30th, 2025. I think we have an updated list that we just got today. Mr. Units, is there any chance that I could just look through this and possibly, since we just got this tonight, maybe hold this off to our next meeting and appoint and do this then?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you meet in June.
Yep, we're gonna meet in June for sure.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
No, that's fine.
Okay. We have some minutes to be approved. Some of these minutes, Ms. Luciano, you and I are the only ones who are going to be able to vote on these because they were before the election.
Okay. I'll make the motion then.
Oh.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 27, 2020. Do I have to do them separately or can I do them all together?
I think if you can can we do them all together, Ms.
I would
Unit?
do two separate.
No, okay.
Okay.
We can avoid on the other.
I vote to approve, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to approve meeting minutes for March 27, 2025.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Present.
Present.
I'll make a motion to approve March 27, 2025 executive session.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Present.
Present.
I'll make a motion to approve May 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. Sorry.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'll make a motion to approve meeting minutes for May 8th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Licenses and permits.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we could hold off on this until your next meeting.
Okay. That makes that easy. Unless anybody has an issue with that?
Nope.
Mr. Kimball? Yes, I'm sorry.
Just a suggestion, for the subsequent packets that we get that have the same agenda items on them, then maybe we can all hold on to our parts of those packets so that Jen doesn't have to reprint them and include them in the future packets.
Pulling it out now, Jen.
I would suggest that that's a great idea. Thank you,
Great.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to reprint all that stuff that, for the license, if you don't mind. Mr. Kimball?
See, under announcements. See what I have here. Essential is offering CPR and first aid training. Training will include CPR, AED placement, and first aid. It's going to be held on July 24th at 4:30 p.m. Seats are limited. Please call to reserve your spot today. There is a fee of $35. Please call Diana, Regional Public Health Nurse, at 781-793-4586. The location is going to be at the Norton Public Library, 68 East Main Street, Norton, Mass. It will be held in the front community room. Town of Norton launches a new program, Fix, to help residents report non-emergency issues and ask questions. This was updated on April 14th. The Norton Town website homepage now supports a new icon for See, Click, and Fix. It is located on the picture of the new town hall at the far right. Residents can now click this icon and go to the department that they would like to request services from. Please be advised that not all departments are on the service yet, as we are slowly rolling the app out. Smartphone users may also go to the App Store and download the See, Click, and Fix app and use it that way while they are on the go. Please be advised this is not for emergencies or urgent matters. Please call 911 for that. Requests will be tracked and residents will be updated on progress with their request as well as when the work has been completed.
Anybody else have any other
I
announcements?
have a couple in a little bit. Mr. Yu-
Mr. Chair, so if that doesn't do it justice, that write-up, and I got some additional information I got from Ray Cord that I forwarded on to the
Absolutely,
board.
please.
So it's an app that you can get from the Apple Store and put it on your phone. You put your log-on information and you kind of set up an account. And then whenever you use it, you get updates on your submittals. So it's kind of like a case portal, if you would, around, like Bob mentioned, many different aspects of the town. I think originally it was advertised to take pictures of potholes and then post the location, the geo mapping the location, and then the highway department would have access to all of those submittals. Now it's expanded, as you mentioned, to many other departments. And one of the things I was hoping for is that the Water and Sewer Commission would have a section there, and they do. So if you go on and you choose that department, you can report discolored water. You can report water breaks, sewer issues, and I think it's going to be a great portal. I wish we had it up on the screen, but I would advise everybody to go to the home page and go to the bottom right, and you'll see See, Click, Fix, and you can submit requests or issues right on the website, or as I mentioned, you can download the app and do it right off your phone. So I think it's a great way for the town to communicate issues that they may see while they're out and about around town, and then also for the department heads to have a way to keep track of all of the the concerns that are out there. So you get a response within 3 to 5 days if you actually use the app itself. And of course, it's a way for the department heads to track all of the issues and concerns, around town, log them in and that kind of thing. I think it's going to be much more efficient than making phone calls or leaving messages, and it'll be much more effective on getting a resolution as well. So,
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
I have one other thing, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kimball.
One other announcement, the Norton Veterans Council is going to have their carnival on June 26th from 6 to 10 p.m., June 27th from 6 to 10 p.m., June 28th from 12 to after the fireworks, which is going to be the Founders Day event, and on June 29th from 12 to 6 p.m. Norton Park and Recreation Department will have their Founders Day on Saturday, June 28th from 3 to 9 p.m., and again, that'll be followed by the fireworks. That's all I have.
Thank you. I haven't seen Mr. Ribeiro. Has anybody been in contact with the family of Mr. Ribeiro? So, having seen none of that, we're going to pass over that, and if he shows up, we'll go back to that. We have the discussion and a vote to approve the sale and execution of sale documents for bonds and ban. Mr. Units.
So you have in front of you a vote that you would have to take. This is for the sale of $4,720,000 in general obligation municipal bonds. The sale price was $4,941,011.63, and they'll all be paid off in 2045.
Right around the corner. Would the treasurer like to say anything? Does anybody have any questions?
No.
No.
I'd entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'll make a motion.
5% through 2035, then 4% from 2036 through 2042, and then 2043, 4.125, and 2045, 4.25.
Thank you. I would ask that if anybody from the audience would like to speak, would you please come up to the microphone and identify yourself before? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to vote and approve the sale and execution of sale documents for bonds and ban. Is there a legal document, Mr. Eunice, we have to read? Because I don't have that.
You don't have that?
It's the, oh, sorry.
You got to read that whole.
Okay, I have it. I, the clerk of the select board of the town of Norton, Massachusetts, hereby known as the town, certify that a meeting of the board was held on June 5th, 2025, for which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present. The following votes were unanimously passed, all which appear upon the official record of the bond of the board in my custody. Voted that the sale of the $4,720,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2025 bonds of the town dated June 18, 2025 to Raymond James and Associates Incorporated at a price of $4,941,011.63, and accrued interest is hereby approved and confirmed. The bond shall be payable on June 15th of the years, and the principal amounts and the bear interest as at the respective rates as follows. 2026, $240,000. Actually, 2026 to 2037 would be $240,000 at a rate of 4%, 5 and 4%. 2038, 2039, $235,000 at 4%. 2040, 2041, 2042 will be $230,000 at 4%. 2043 will be $230,000 at a rate of 4.125%, and 2045 will be $450,000 at a rate of 4.25%. Further voted that the bond maturing on June 15, 2045, the term bond shall be subject to mandatory redemption or mature as follows. Year 2044, $225,000, and 2045 will be an additional $225. Further voted to approve the sale of $520,770 at 4.10% general obligation bond anticipation note issued as a State House note of the town dated June 18, 2025, and payable September 24, 2025, to Unibank for savings at par and accrued interest, and if any, further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the bonds, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated May 28, 2025, and a final official statement dated June 4, 2025, the official statement, each of such forms as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, and approved and adopted. Further voted that the bond shall be subject to redemption at the option of the town upon such terms and conditions as set forth in the official statement. Further voted that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a continuing disclosure undertaking in compliance with Section Rule 15, Section 2-12, in such form as may be approved by bond council of the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the bonds for the benefit of the holders of the bonds from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures to which forms as the town treasurer and bond council deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update such procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax exempt status of the bonds and to comply with the relevant security laws. It is further voted that any certificate or documents relating to the bonds, collectively the documents, parentheses, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and all of which shall continue one and the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such documents. And electronic signatures of any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents and all matters relating thereto having the same legal effect as the original signatures. It is further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all actions, execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them, or any of them to be necessary to convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes.
You're almost done.
Almost. I further certify that the vote were taken in a meeting upon the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, date, time, agenda for the meeting, parentheses, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours or in the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in accordance with the alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in accordance with the alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in Section 940 CMR 23.0B, subsection 2, subsection B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting that no deliberations or decisions in connection with the sale of the bonds were taken in executive session, all in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 30A, subsection 18-25 as amended. As a motion.
Good job, Bob.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Presentation of from the Friends of World War II Veterans Memorial Trail regarding sponsoring opportunity.
Good evening. Thanks for adding us to the agenda. My name's Janelle Toogood. I live at 137 South Washington. Been in Norton about 7 years. My partner's been here about 30 years. I'm the current chair of the Alternative Transportation Committee, which will be disbanded once the trail is turned over from the engineers to the town. Meanwhile, the Friends of the World War II Veterans Memorial Trail has formed. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, and its intention is to educate, advocate, and financially support the trail and its uses. One of the ideas that we have for sort of kickstarting some fundraising for the efforts is to utilize the dog waste stations. There are 8 of them along the trail, and offer folks in the town the opportunity to sponsor one of these dog stations with a plaque that would have their pet's name. I guess it doesn't have to be a dog, but I think it will be a dog. To put their dog's name. We have a design for this, and we know the cost. It's quite affordable, about $50 per plaque, and we're going to be asking folks to donate $500 for the privilege of having their pet's name posted on one of these stations, and the duration of that privilege will be for 3 years, at which time we would seek new sponsors or renewal. We've got other ideas, benches, and dedications that are also in the works, but this is our initial plan, something that we could wrap our arms around with the meetings that we've had so far, and we're hoping to kick it off and share the opportunity in time for Founders Day.
Sounds great.
Chair,
Mr. Kimball.
could you, just so we're clear on this, because we've got some issues as far as the maintenance of the trail itself.
Oh, really?
So the intention, yeah. So the intention of your group will be to do exactly what? Are you going to maintain them, or is the highway department still going to be expected to do it, or what?
Our intention is to absolutely be in collaboration with the town. We're already talking with John Thomas and the highway department. We've met with Mike Units. And we will be available to be on call for special projects. Our understanding is that, and there is an MOU, a memorandum of understanding from John Thomas's department about the maintenance with schedules and everything. So we have a very clear idea of what is and isn't, the responsibility of the town versus the Friends. I think we're all forming, the idea of what's going to be needed, and that's the idea, is to be a body of townspeople that can, along with Mansfield's townspeople, to support. So as far as the dog stations go, though, I think we did decide that we'll supply the bags and make sure that there's bags in each of those stations at all times. And certainly if there are maintenance issues, which there have been, we'll be using the new portal as one of the tools to say, hey, this needs to get done. I'm not sure, but it's all a little bit under construction. But yeah, we're not part of the town, right? Where we want to be we are already a separate entity from the town, so that we can respond without having to do all the due diligence that being on a town committee requires.
Okay, so the town will be responsible for the most part of the maintenance of the trails, mowing, taking care of the trash, all that.
Absolutely.
To again be clear, though, this trail has not been adopted. In other words, the town is not the possession or acceptance or even the maintenance of this park has not, this walkway has not been turned over to the town as of yet.
That's my understanding. I don't have the date. Maybe Mike can speak to it.
Well, their date for completion is June 13th. So we're hoping that is accurate.
So to be clear, though, because I'm going to play a recording that was called into the highway department, and as much as we've tried to convey the message that the town has no legal responsibility at this time to work on that trail, a lot of people still seem to be unaware of that. And the only reason I'm bringing this forward is because people have to understand that it's going to take a while to work out the bugs on this trail, and I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy it. But to call, not leave a message, not leave any contact information, and to a town department, and make the comments that were made. They're not swears, but they were comments. I think I'd like to play this because of two reasons. I want people to understand that the highway department, in my opinion, is one of the hardest working departments in this town. They're out there constantly every day doing everything they can. And the morale yesterday morning when I walked in there, I had to sign some documents for the cemetery commission, and the morale was totally in the toilet. So I want to play this and with a hope that someone might recognize the voice and educate this person on what exactly we are trying to do there.
Yes, hello. I was wondering if you could send one of your useless, do-nothing all-day town employees to one of the new trails on Washington Street. The trash can's been overflowing now for 4 months. Someone has taped it, put duct tape over it, there's trash overflowing. Just a simple drive over there and pick it up. I know you guys are busy. You guys do so much all day. Town looks great. But if anyone can go over there, take a break from your nap and just pick that up, that'd be great. Thank you.
So, to be clear, I think any assault on any of our departments should be something we should be concerned about. And I'm disappointed in this person. I don't know who it is. Didn't leave a message other than the message that was left. We have no other information. But I'm just bringing this to everyone's attention because we need to slow down and figure out how this is all going to work. And it's going to take some time. And if someone has a concern, hopefully this new portal might, as you say, might open up some of the concerns. But, you know, we have a lot of dedicated employees that work for this town in the whole departments. I don't care if you're talking about schools, highway, whatever it might be. I'm just concerned that people like this give them all a black eye, and it really is unjustified. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I appreciate what you guys are trying to do. It'd be nice to have another set of eyes on the trails, and I've noticed a lot of traffic on it already. And it seems like it's almost completed, which is good. So, but I want to thank you for stepping forward and at least creating this nonprofit. With any assistance that the highway department or the town can have would be obviously greatly appreciated. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Can I ask for clarity though? Sorry. Do we have clarity about whether or not we have permission to, and it doesn't have to, I mean, if there's a timeline issue, that's fine, but do we have permission to do some fundraising such as was described?
I don't know if I would say that if you wanted to raise funds for that, I think that you would be, and you have your organization established, I would say that you can absolutely do that. And I would ask that you let people know how they can, if somebody wants to sponsor one of these stations, or if somebody has other ideas that they may want to bring to you.
Absolutely.
How would they do that?
We have a website for one, and we also have a Facebook presence. So those are two of the things. We're going to have a booth at Founders Day. We've got a trifold brochure describing, what we're about. And so, and we're very, very new. We're as new as the trail, newer, right? Yep. So we're establishing all these modes of communication. And I would also respectfully submit that I find it also very dismal to hear a recording such as was shared. It's a fabulous resource for the town, and it will get figured out. Maintenance will happen, and we're looking forward to be a part of that.
Does anybody?
I was just going to circle back to the original intent. So you're just looking for us to say, yeah, we're fine with you raising funds through your organization. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you make an announcement out when you want to have us read it through in the regular select board meeting, we can do that like we did today for a couple other events. If you want us to read about how to purchase the,
once we have it,
once
we have it put together, absolutely happy to share. We want to make sure that as many people as possible have the opportunity.
Yeah, happy to spread the word.
Participate. Okay.
Mr. O'Neill?
Do you need any additional volunteers for your friends group?
Yes.
Right. And how does one put their name in, or?
I think that we already have if you go to the website, because I didn't have to sign up. I was already signed up. Matt could probably talk to it, but there's a portal. There's like a link you can go to, and then you can sign up, and you can either be a sponsor. There's a nominal fee to be a member, or you can sign up, I believe, as a volunteer, or you can be a sponsor. And it goes through Give Butter.
Great. So. Thank you.
Do you want to talk to that? I don't know.
Matt Drain, 6 North Washington Street. So the website is www.railtrail.org, and it's also the same thing on Facebook. So, and we have membership that's been set up so people can become a member to support the trail. And as we said, we'll be at Founders Day to kick off a lot of these things as well. So.
Just for clarity, when you say WW2, is it the number 2, 2 IIs? Okay.
Correct. Thank you. No, www.railtrail.org. Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say also, what a great thing it is for the town when Mansfield put in their portion of the rail trail, and for Norton to actually follow through and do it and get the funding to get this rail trail put together. It's going to be great for the whole town, and I've seen people using it already, even though it doesn't belong to the town yet, per se. But I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for the town. So thank you for all of your efforts, for sure.
Thank you.
I just had one additional question.
Sure.
If the trail does complete on the 13th, do you know what the acceptance, like how long it'll take to accept it and walk it and accept it?
I am not sure. They're looking also at, they're going to schedule a walkthrough.
Yep.
I'll let you know so you can come. It's going to be Mansfield and Norton officials doing a complete walkthrough on the trail. And then I'm sure that Serpide wants to have a ribbon cutting at some point. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Val Cabral, 50 Mansfield Ave. That appalling recording did sound familiar. Bob, you asked if it sounded familiar. It sounds like the person who Zoom bombed the meeting a few weeks ago. I don't know who was, I forget which meeting it was and who was present.
Finance Committee. It was the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee, yep. So that voice sounded exactly like that person, and I don't know if we've had anything done. I know Zoom got a lot more serious about the Zoom bombing problem after it happened at a bunch of schools and things. I don't know if we tried to have that tracked, who that was, but that sounded exactly like that person. So you asked if anyone recognized the voice, and I think I did.
Thank you.
So hopefully we can find him, because that was awful.
Thank you.
If I could add one more thing too, I spoke to one of our town representatives, and he told me that the city of Taunton now is applying for funding to extend the rail trail to the city of Taunton to, I believe, Dayton or Dartmouth or one of those D words. And once we reach that point, you can pretty much go anywhere after that. So that's pretty exciting news. So hopefully Taunton will follow through and make that all happen.
I'm going to say it's Dayton.
We'll never know where the kids are.
Yeah. I think Dayton already has a trail, so my guess is the Taunton one would just connect the two.
I believe I saw Mr. Ribeiro coming in, but let's get through a couple more items if we can before we get to that. Presentation of the Pride Proclamation. Mr. Kimball.
So I find it again. Thank you.
Do you want any throat lozenges?
Town of Norton Proclamation, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, LGBTQ+ Pride Month, June 2025. Whereas the town of Norton is a welcoming community and exceptional place to live, learn, work, play, and raise a family, and whereas Norton recognizes the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas the nation was founded upon and is guided by a set of principles that includes that every person who has been created equal, that each has rights to their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and that each shall be accorded the full recognition and protection of the law. And whereas the town of Norton, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer (LGBTQ+ community are a vital part of all fields and professions and contribute to a stronger community. And whereas the town of Norton is dedicated to fostering acceptance of all of its citizens and preventing discrimination and bullying based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And whereas Norton is strengthened by and thrive upon the rich diversity of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all of which contribute to the vibrant character of our town. And whereas the Center of Disease Control, (CDC), recognizes that LGBTQ+ teens are at higher risk of the victims of violence and of increased suicide rates. And whereas it is imperative that young people in the community, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers, educators, and community leaders. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board, on behalf of the Town of Norton, hereby proclaim and recognize June 2025 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ Pride Month in the town of Norton, and we recognize the resilience and determination of the many individuals who are fighting to live freely and authentically. In doing so, they are opening hearts and minds and laying the foundation for a more just and equitable town. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to jump back and take care of something that I was hoping to take care of right at the beginning of the meeting, but I'm so happy to see Mr. Ribeiro here now. So, Mr. Kimball, you want to...
If I can find it. Let me read these two. So we're going to present Mr. Ribeiro tonight with the Boston Post cane, and the president of the Historical Society, Janice Burkhart, will be glad to explain that. But before we do that, I'd like to read a proclamation.
Let's go up to the podium up here and read it, and then you can come up. Bring the family up.
Okay.
Bring, just the
Want to
same-
bring them all?
Yeah, bring them all up. Come on. We don't get to do enough of these good things.
Look at the stripes. Yep.
Okay.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Oh my God.
I'm going to borrow the podium first, and you can have it.
Oh. Want me to sit here?
Yes, please, Mr. Ribeiro.
Okay. Bob Kimball here?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Bob. It's
Good to
Bob.
see you.
Oh, Bob. Good to see you.
My pleasure. Please have a seat, and we'll
Okay.
see if we can talk loud enough so you can hear us. How's that?
I can't hear too good.
Okay.
Only on one side.
Yes. Is this the good side? Okay, have a seat. Good. Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is a recognition of the Boston Post cane. Be it known that the Norton Select Board hereby extends its congratulations to John J. Ribeiro. It is with great pleasure that the Norton Select Board present the citation and has awarded you the Boston Post cane for being the oldest World War II veteran in the town of Norton, Massachusetts at the age of 99 and having served in the United States Navy. This certificate is an award of recognition for your longevity, wisdom, and contribution to our community. The Boston Post cane, symbol of respect and tradition back to 1909, is presented to you as a testament to a life well lived. As a token of this recognition, the board is pleased to present you with this certificate as well as a replica of the cane in the form of a lapel pin on this 5th day of June in the year 2025, and is signed by the Board of Selectmen. Mr. Ribeiro. You can have that.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. I think I have a couple more. This is another congratulations certificate to John J. Ribeiro as a World War II veteran who proudly served and served in the United States Navy and a longtime Norton resident, and to recognize Mr. Ribeiro as being the oldest Norton veteran. And I have one more. And I think that's all I have. So that's yours. You can have that one too. And I'm going to introduce Janice Burkhart, and she can take it from here.
Oh, you know, I'm very honored to get this. I don't know what, I appreciate everything. I'm legally blind. I can't see too much, but this is beautiful. I can see that it's taken.
And you deserve
I was thinking it was taken Norton almost 100 years to have their own building. This is wonderful. I can remember all the makeshift offices that Norton had. And this is great. Thank God. Finally, I saw something that Norton should have. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
I thank you very, very much. God bless everybody.
Well, John, you know, we all go through life meeting people who are extraordinary and ordinary at the same time. And you were one of those people. And we're so lucky to be able.
I'm not a nihilistic.
Oh, yes, you are.
I never was.
Well, that's the ordinary part, but then there's the extraordinary part. But you know, we don't often get a chance to say thank you to those people. And tonight is our chance to say thank you to you, because we love that you're here and all the things you've done. So we're going to give you some more treasure to take home. Okay?
I'm just so lucky to be here to live so long.
Yes.
Well,
you've lived a good life.
I've lost so many good friends that I knew, but I'm still here. I don't know why. But anyway.
All right,
It's been wonderful.
I'm going to read something to you.
I've had a wonderful life.
You have.
I did my best I could. I was a very poor student to start off. I had a language barrier. My folks didn't speak English at all. I couldn't speak it. I had to stay Festus Bradstreet, the teacher, first grade, kept me for 2 years because she liked me so much. You know.
She's gonna read something to you now.
She's talking now. She has to talk now. She's talking now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can't hear.
Okay, well, I'm going to read this to you. All right? I actually have two things for you. All right, John, you were born in 1925. This year, you will be 100 years old. This was the United States of America in 1925. Calvin Coolidge was the President of the United States. The average income was $2,239. You could buy a new car for $290. The average rent was $20 a month. Gasoline was 2 cents a gallon. A first-class postage stamp cost 2 cents. When you went to the grocery store, granulated sugar cost $1 for 15 pounds. Milk was 33 cents a gallon. Eggs cost 13 cents a dozen. Fresh baked bread cost 9 cents a loaf. Life expectancy was 54.3 years. In 1925, Norton was a small town indeed. The population was 2,769. There were 672 dwellings. Norton had 195 horses, 379 cows, 75 swine, 10 sheep and goats, and 7,321 fowl, probably chickens and turkeys. There were 75 students in Norton High School. Lawrence G. Nurse was the school superintendent. Charles Randall was the high school principal. Benjamin B. Scanlon was the chief of police. You have seen many changes in Norton over your lifetime. You fought for your country in World War II. You married and raised a family. You owned your own home. You ran a successful business. You saw your children and grandchildren grow into adults. You have lived a successful, productive, and rich life. Congratulations on this wonderful milestone. And this is... Okay, we have one more. One more to
Can't
go.
read this, but the VA has supplied me with a reading machine
It's CCTV.
that
Yeah,
I'm able to read, thank God, the newspaper now.
good.
The television is a great thing. I had to be so close in order to see it now, to hear it. But it's been so good, so I'll be able to read and I'm so thankful for the newsletter that you people send me.
Oh,
I
good.
read every word of it and brings back a lot of memories and a lot of people that was mentioned that I knew that are gone. And it's been a great life. I'm so fortunate.
Well, John,
I'm just. Okay, I'm sorry.
you know how girls are when they talk. Okay, John, tonight you're going to get a very special award. And we've been having this award since 1909. And in 1909, Norton was given this cane, along with 700 other towns and cities. And the man who gave this cane was the editor and owner of the Boston Post newspaper. And this is the Boston Post cane. And it was given to 700 towns. And what happens is this cane goes to the oldest person in town or to some older person who is very worthy and deserving of it. Now, this cane, I'm going to tell you about it. I have it written down here. It came to us in 1909, and on the top, it has an inscription, and it says that it's to be given to the oldest person in Norton, Massachusetts, and it's to be given away. So you don't get to keep it. So it's always got to go to the next person eventually, okay? So what we have done is we've made a little lapel pin that you get to keep. But in a little bit, we're going to take your picture holding this cane. And you can hold it right now while I read this little plaque that I have, okay? And I'll read it into the microphone. Can you hear it better when I talk into the microphone? Okay, this is what it says. The Norton Historical Society and the Norton Board of Selectmen take great pleasure in presenting the Boston Post cane to Mr. John Ribeiro, Norton's oldest citizen. This special cane was made in 1909 and given to Norton by Mr. Edwin A. Grozier, the publisher of the Boston Post, which was a popular newspaper. It's made out of ebony wood, shipped from the Cape of Congo in Africa. The wood was cut into cane lengths, seasoned for 6 months, turned on lathes to the right thickness, coated and polished. It has a 14-karat gold head, which is 2 inches long, decorated by hand, and has a ferrule tip. It's a little tip on the end. The head is engraved with the following words: presented by the Boston Post to the oldest citizen of Norton, to be transmitted. In other words, it's going to be given away again. John, receiving the Boston Post cane is a very special honor. Your name will be added to the list of previous cane recipients and preserved at the Norton Historical Society. This is a special award and honor for a very special person. Congratulations.
If I remember right, did Leo Yell get this
He
cane?
did, and Annie.
A good friend of mine. The whole family was a very, very. Whole family were my friends.
Yep, they were very
I
special.
loved them
too.
all.
Yep.
every single one of them. And I remember when he got this, he was a member of the Norton Alliance with me, which I still am. And that's when I heard that he was getting it. So this is it. I never believed that I would get to the point that I would get the same thing. And Leo was a hell nice guy.
Yes, he was.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to take your picture, okay, holding the cane.
Okay.
And we're going to put it in a frame after we get it developed, and we'll give it to you. You want to come this way, or you want to turn him?
We'll all get together when
Do what?
they'll all come up here.
Oh, okay.
So, Chris, if you could just, one of them, please.
Oh, sure.
I have a great family
Mr.
that
Marchand.
really does everything for me. Going way back with my father and mother and my extended family. And they do so much. Family is so important. It's so important. My youngest great-grand is here. My youngest one. Right here. And my oldest ones. I went to 2 graduations this week.
And First Communion.
One First Communion. And I went this week to Holyoke, an hour and a half from here, for graduation of my oldest great-grandchild. And yes, and was it yesterday? I went to graduation in Norton for my second greatest grandchild the same year, Pace Ribeiro. And I got so many others coming up.
You're a
but
busy
I
man.
But I won't be here.
You will be.
I love you all. I know you were great. Thank you. I've known so many slick men, and Bob is one of the greater ones.
I paid him for that, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I thank you all. Congratulations, Mr. Guerrero. Thank you, thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure. Oh, thank you.
Now, John, when you have time, we'd like you to sit down and tell us a lot
Do you want
of
this?
stories
Put a lot of reading.
When you have time, the Historical Society would like you to come, record some of the stories, to be able to keep them forever.
It may not be great, but I would have, I think I could do something.
I think you could too. Thank you, John.
You have to give her back.
Oh, yeah, I have to take the king.
You've got the little king on it.
Okay. These people take me out for, they eat quite often. I'm still alone.
Hey, Gramps, they have to do their meeting, so.
When do you-
No, you're going with.
No, take your time.
It's my daughter. She's a nurse.
Listen, don't rush. We don't get to do enough of these things, so
Right.
take your time.
Finish their meeting.
Yeah, we have to go. We have to go, they're in a meeting,
Okay.
all right?
Thank you very much.
Okay, oh, thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're gonna take some pictures out in the lobby.
Okay.
Can I tour the building a little bit?
Yeah, let's get out of the meeting.
Can you take me?
Let's go that way.
This is
Listen.
great.
We have to go this way.
I'm so glad we finally got.
Now listen.
Okay.
We'll come right out in a minute.
Probably Denise can do it.
My only asset right now is my voice.
You're doing great.
On your mind.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In your mind.
in my mind,
Shocked.
I'm still there. Thank God. Thank you, everybody.
He's a good athlete. He's in sports and stuff, but I don't know many of the boys from his class because I was on the girls' side.
Okay, that was a little welcome relief. Okay, so we're going to move on to with the agenda. The discussion and or vote to allow the display of Gadsden signs on the town common. I know that we received a letter. Mr. Schleicher, would you like to come up and speak about it?
You can go for now.
Okay. Thoughts from the board?
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
I know we haven't voted on, and it's not on here to vote this evening on the sign policy. But I think we discussed last week having the sign policy be restricted to just I believe it was the American flag, POW, one other, and then to keep it objective, celebrations that are posted and listed on federal and or state websites. And so this, I don't think, represents one of those. And then my other point would be that this is talking about celebrating Independence Day. I don't think that this is the flag that would represent Independence Day. I think we have a very well-known flag that represents Independence Day that even elementary school children would know, and that's the American flag. And we do put that up on the town common during the month of July. So my position would be that the American flag is the flag that we're going to be having on the town common for the month of July.
Mr. Chairman, I find, of course, I wasn't involved at the time, but there is a policy of the board regarding flags on the common, and it's my understanding that, again, as Mr. Luciano mentioned, basically it's state, federal flags. This can only be put on flag poles. I believe the request is for signage to be put on the common, very much like we're doing this month for the proclamation we just signed off on. So I don't know where to go with this because I wasn't part of the original process to vote in favor or against anything like this. But I do agree with Mrs. Luciano that we need to come up with a policy that's clear and precise, and we know exactly how it works. So I'm not sure we have the ability or can restrict any kind of signage being put up on the common. I will say that over the years, I believe the Historic District Commission has been very vocal about various signs, especially real estate signs and things of that sort, political signs. Anything in the district was not allowed, and unfortunately the common is in the district. However, the banners are up now. The gay pride banners rather, are up on the common for the month of June. And until we come up with a policy, I'm not sure how we can restrict anybody from putting anything up until we actually have a policy in place. And I would encourage the board to look into that policy sooner than later so we can circumvent anything, like this in the future. The Historic District Commission might have a different opinion, but I believe we have to bring them in on the discussion also, so we comply with their regulations in the future, along with whatever we come up with as a policy.
Through you, Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
To that point, Bob, I think we do have a draft policy on the agenda tonight. We don't have it on here to vote. Right. But since this request is for July, I don't see any reason why we couldn't vote on it at the next meeting. And then we do have a policy that we could comply with. And the point about the historical district, it's fine to get their opinion just for feedback, but we don't have to comply with their policies. We've been through this with legal counsel, and it is ultimately up to us, this board, what flags, indoor signs we allow on the common. So I would propose holding off till we can vote on the policy next meeting, hopefully, and then we can move forward at that point.
I would add to that, Mr. Chairman, that the warrant states that we have discussion and a vote to allow display of garden signs on the town common, so it is actually on the agenda. I'm not suggesting we have to vote on it tonight, but we do have the ability to vote on it if we desire to do so.
So, when we were at town meeting in one of the longer breaks that we had during town meeting, I spoke with town council about this, just to get their opinion and to see what they thought. And the thought was that we shouldn't. Since we don't have a policy for signs, we do have a policy for flags, but we don't have a policy for signs. So we shouldn't be. We can't really say yes or no without a policy. So I believe that we should set a policy, and it should include all of the town's properties, not just the common. And I think that we should get the input from all of town departments who have control of town properties, whether it be the cemetery department or the school department or the historical district commission. I think we should get everybody's input before we come up with a policy and make sure that it's clear and concise, and so that we don't have to continue to have these discussions about what's allowed and what's not allowed. I think that we should come up with a policy, and that's what we go by.
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
We
Mr.
have a
Chairman.
draft policy on tonight's agenda. And so what I was pointing out is that under old business, we have a discussion on the temporary flag and signage policy. We don't have vote for tonight. So if we put that back on for next meeting with a vote, we have draft policies to review. Then we could have a draft policy in place sooner rather than later. I don't know that we need to necessarily solicit feedback from all the towns and boards, because I think what we need to take into consideration is the law around free speech and signage and what you can and cannot restrict, and understand what those, and I think I handed out some information for the last meeting. I would suggest that we go back to that stuff and review it before the next meeting, before we vote on the signage policy, because there's a lot of great information in there from KP Law, and I forget what the other source was, but there was a lot of clear information in there already for us.
Thank you. Mr. Kimball.
You know, again, I was involved when the select board voted on this policy a number of years ago. From what I gather and I understand, it's basically anyone can put up a sign on the freedom of speech. So I'm not sure even if we have to vote on this, because if it's allowed in the month of June for one organization, until we have a policy in place, I don't know that we can restrict anyone from doing anything in the month of July or August or thereafter. And I do agree with you, Mr. Chair, that, you know, if we're going to do this, we have to make sure we incorporate all town bodies in land, regardless of who owns it, so we have a clear understanding about where signs can and cannot be. I know right now you can't put a political sign in front of the town hall. It's just not allowed. You can't put it on certain town property. So we've got policies out there that either we don't have our own written policy, but the state does have certain policies and procedures out there that we should look into. But until we come up with a sign bylaw, I believe anyone can basically do anything they want.
So
the bylaw, I believe, states that we are the ones that approve or disapprove requests for the signage, right? And so that's why we're trying to put a policy in place. And I think in practice, what we have done is the American flags, the POW flags, we have done the state and federal recognized observed holidays and celebrations. And then we've also done the other caveat we had last week was the memorials for townspeople who had passed unexpectedly or, you know, something like that.
I believe that we do have a policy for flags. What I don't think we have is a policy for signs. And when I went to the charter to look up what we have for signs, the closest thing I could find to what we're discussing is political signs. And there is no allowance for political signs on any town property. So that's the only thing I have to go by. So that's why I say if we want to make a policy for signs, then I think that it has to be somewhere where it can be adopted, and then it's.
So I think we're talking about two different things. One is the bylaw that talks about what flag poles and signage on people's personal properties need to comply with, right? And then one is town property, what we're willing to allow on town property, and that's where the policy comes into play. And so that's what we have on the agenda tonight for discussion. We don't have it on tonight for a vote. However, I think it would be easy enough for us to review the proposed policy, come back to the next meeting prepared to vote on the policy, and then we have a policy in place prior to the need for this particular request.
I don't disagree with you, Ms. Luciano. What I would like to have is some more input from town council as to what our restrictions are and how one group's rights outweigh another group's rights for who wants to put a sign. That's
That's a great question, and maybe we could get town council to attend next meeting. Yeah.
That's my biggest concern is where does one group's rights end and another group's rights begin? And my biggest concern is that we start getting all kind of requests for signage to be put on town property everywhere, and I don't think that anybody wants to see that. So I would like to get more input from town council on that. I agree.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so we will. You can come up.
Stefanelli, 12 James Street. Bob, you mentioned that there was a flag on the common now? Okay.
No, there are small, I would call them political signs, the size of a political sign that are now presently hanging on the railings around the common. The only flags that are on the common are the ones that are approved by the federal government and the state. That's it.
Thank you. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the American flag and then the POW flag, those are the only two that can fly on a pole. If you're really looking for the charter to give you a lot of satisfaction, go out and buy a flagpole, put your own flag up. Because there are people in town who would be offended. I'm one of them. That charter needs a lot of exposure before you vote on it. And it's up to the select board to make that exposure available. Because,
I'm sorry.
Yes, we're not trampling on anybody's freedom of speech, but there's only that group that's speaking on it. The total public of Norton has not been exposed to it, and it's unfair. Thank you.
Mr. Stefanelli, just to be clear, I don't think anybody's proposing a charter change. I'm just saying that when I went to go look for information about signs, the only information I could find was in the charter under signs.
Yeah, the flag and the signs are two different
Yes, absolutely.
situations. Thank you.
Val Cabral, 50 Mansfield Avenue. The thing that I think is being lost in some way here is that there is an idea that there is a group that is putting their political views on display on the Common in June. It is not a political view that in the 2024 National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health, 39% of LGBTQ plus youth seriously considered attempting suicide. 12% attempted suicide. Teenagers, youths, children like yours. 90% of LGBTQ youth said their well-being was negatively impacted due to recent politics, and LGBTQ youth who reported living in very accepting communities attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those who reported living in very unaccepting communities. This is not a political view. These are facts. Showing that we accept queer kids means those kids are less likely to die. You cannot debate that. It's been studied over and over again with surveys, with formal studies that were peer reviewed. And the reason in the first place that we want pride signs displayed for the month of June, and I didn't think I was going to need to speak on this because frankly, I don't care if somebody wants to put a Gadsden flag up if you feel like you're being trodden upon. But there isn't a cause there. The Pride Month is a cause. Showing ourselves to be a community that accepts LGBTQ plus folks saves children's lives. It is not about me. It's about the kids who felt like I did when I was 12 and figured out I was queer, with nary a pride flag to be seen, might I add. Pretending that we don't have a problem with anti-LGBTQIA plus hate in this town is also frankly a joke, which tends to be what comes up here is we don't need pride flags. It's people from out of town doing it. Since we started putting the pride signs out on private property, many of them were stolen. And because of that, I made a permanent pride flag sign for my property. And one night in 2022, a man walking back from a concert at the Xfinity Center, so clearly someone local, stopped by and deliberately urinated on it. The video is still up all over the place, any local news station, and if you don't believe me, you can watch it. We never heard anything back from the police after they took the footage and told a number of news stations that they weren't even sure it was deliberate, even though the sign is not right on the road and the man was holding himself straight up and bouncing up and down in order to make sure that his urine reached the sign. I'm sure plenty of folks in town know who did that and aren't sharing. In November of 2023, someone, unfortunately we don't know who because our cameras were down, disassembled it completely and left most of the slats scattered on the ground. After the ones that had been on the common the other year got defaced and stolen and then put back with things like "no to pedos" written on them, that person was found to be from Mansfield. So people like to use that as proof that, well, these folks aren't from here, but sometimes they clearly are. Plenty of the properties that had their pride signs stolen are not right on a main road like mine. It is not out of towners. It is people here. I know that all of the various policies and free speech rights always come up when this is discussed. I know everyone always cites Shirtlift versus City of Boston, as happened when this was going around with the school committee a few years ago. We already allow religious displays on the common. We also allow LGBTQIA plus signs, and I think it's fine if any other group would want to apply to display another sign or flag. I would encourage the board to just consider the reasoning behind wanting to display it. Again, if it's a state holiday, if it's a local holiday, if it's a federal holiday, and the time frame and all of that. I don't think that necessarily, I do think that it's important to not have the appearance of being discriminatory. But I do want to yet again argue that the pride signage does not become, as is the clear goal from the fact that this letter says, well, it happens in June, so I can put Gadsden's up in July. I would encourage you to not let the intent of this letter, which is clearly to try to prevent signage from going up on the common, to happen. Because again, of all of the stated facts about how often children try to kill themselves because adults don't accept them for who they are.
How you doing? Zach Schleicher from 34 North Worcester Street, Norton. I'm not trying to get in an argument over LGBT versus this. This is just a strictly flag for the month of July. Not trying to compete or bring in. If it was a reference into my letter, it was just referencing that other signs were allowed on the common. So that's all I had. That's it. Thank you.
No one comes, Ralph Stefanelli, 12 James Street. I want to see the statistics. I don't want to hear them. Think about it. No, I'm not talking to you.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Ralph?
This is not what our discussion is about, so let's not.
Yeah, but you filtered it in as both. You're weighing it like the scales when she's blind. That's the way I see it.
I understand how you see it. I'm just saying that's not how we're seeing it.
Okay.
That I'm just saying that we are discussing a sign policy.
A sign policy only, but you did mention the flag that policy earlier, before.
I
we
only
went to the-
mentioned it saying that we already have one. That's the only mention I made of a flag policy. I'm saying that we're discussing a sign policy right now.
This needs more discussion. Let's not go, it needs more discussion to the general public of Norton. Because if you put a flag, and I'm going to go there, I'm going to say it, and then you can throw me out. Or
Ralph,
Paul,
excuse me, Mr. Stefanelli, I'm going to cut you off here. I'm sorry.
then don't. It needs more discussion.
Thank you.
Hi, Peg Dooley, 134 Godfrey Drive. What is the meaning of this sign? What is
What
the meaning
sign?
of this?
Which, the Gadsden flag?
Yes.
It's in the letter that we received. I think that, do we have the letter we can put up?
It was up, and it didn't exactly tell me what
I think it started out
purpose is it of it going up.
And you can correct me, Mr. Like, if I'm wrong, but I believe the summary is it started out as a Revolutionary War symbol.
Right, but what does that have meaning for today?
Well, because
Today's
I
meaning-
think it's the 250th anniversary, and I think that that's the anniversary of the flag.
I think today's meaning has changed a bit, and I think that the requester was suggesting that it was to celebrate Independence Day. And so my point was, I think that the symbol of Independence Day is pretty well known. Elementary children know it. It's the American flag. So I didn't see a need to have something different.
Is that what your meaning is, if I may address the fellow that wrote the letter?
No, we're not going back and forth. If you want to have a discussion with him out in the
Okay.
hall, that's fine.
And just for the record, I'm involved with the Historic District Commission, which I'm co-chair of, and we have never allowed signs on the common. We would take them off, for that matter, if and until otherwise has been suggested to us. But would this have a political connotation to it?
I think every sign that anybody puts up has some sort of connotation to it. What it means to individual people is what they believe.
Right, but nothing political is allowed on any town-owned property.
Mr. Chairman, I believe what we're talking about here is freedom of speech.
Right.
So it's not a question of what the sign means, or, what the signs in June mean, or July, or August, or whenever. We have to get clarification from town council as to when we cross the line under free speech, regardless of any implications for political purposes or whatever purpose. I think it's important for us to understand that before we make our final decision. The conversation about the flags on the banners on the common today have been going on for years, and that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the month of August, whether or not we want to allow July rather. We want to allow another person to exercise their right to freedom of speech. And we have to find out if we can do that or not. And I don't know, because I wasn't involved in the first one, and I'd like to get some more information before I make a decision.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. The student presentation to discuss consolidating town trash recycling pickup. We have, thank you for coming in. And thank you for putting up with us.
I'm Kylie Fosher, and I'm a Norton High School student. And for a year-long project, during our sophomore year, we do a civics project where we get to choose something that we want to change in the community. For mine, I decided to attack the issue of the amount of trash companies we have in town. Just driving around, I noticed that there was a ton of traffic from all the trash companies that were around, and it seemed to be disrupting people that were just driving to their house and stuff like that. I did some research, and I found out that there are 9 different trash companies collecting the trash, which I just thought that was quite inefficient to have that many. I also found out that only 3 of the 9 of them actually have base locations in Norton, which means they're driving quite a ways just to come here to pick up the waste. My proposal was that we could possibly have one company pick up the trash, or maybe 2 or 3. It doesn't have to be a designated company. It could be a preferred vendor. so that it doesn't have to go towards like the taxes, but that would be more ideal. But I just feel like this advancement would just make the roads less busy, and the noise all the time would be smaller, I guess. So.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kimball.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention, because I think we've all talked about it ourselves. I have a friend of mine who lives in a neighborhood of about, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 homes. And their complaint was like 5 different companies were coming up there, and all different days and all different times. And I made a suggestion that perhaps they should get together with their neighbors and hire one company.
Yeah.
And they did that. And it did work out very well for them. I would encourage you to continue to look at this problem, and it is a problem, and find out a solution to it. But perhaps you could even suggest that certain streets, and maybe perhaps they could get together, and by doing so, actually, they get a better rate for the trash, because the truck, like you say, they don't have to come from wherever to pick up 20 homes. You know, if they come up and they're picking up 200 homes, then it's more cost effective for them also. I am working on a plan to come up with a transfer station in Norton. I'm going to sit down with the conservation agent and the Board of Health, town planner, try to work out the details of that. And I would love it if you'd like to be a part of that conversation. Because I think that's important. That if you want to do that, I'll make sure we reach out to you and see if you can become involved in that. Another part of that solution would be, again, to maybe talk about coming up with a couple of different companies, just maybe 2, that would be able to do that. So I have your information here. With your permission, I'd like to perhaps reach out to you. As I get more information, you can join us for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kylie. Next is the friendly 40B 10% requirement. Mr. Kimball.
I asked for this to be on the agenda. I understand that the board recently voted for a friendly 40B to be put on, is it Newland Street?
Newland Street.
Newland Street. Again, I wasn't part of the board at that time, but I do want to stress the importance of the subsidized housing. Our percentage right now as of today is 10.02%. If it falls under 10%, the state will be the first. Mass Housing, all the various committees, all the various boards, EOHLC, and all these other companies, all these other organizations will be out here screaming at our front door saying we have to build more 40B. Once we reach 10%, not 9.9, not 10.1, 10%, we no longer have to accept any additional 40Bs. So I want to suggest to the board that we reach out to it's not the planning board, they're not involved in this. This is the Zoning Board of Appeals is the organization in town that has to deal with these. You guys, prior to my appointment, was approached by a company who wanted to build what they call a friendly 40B. Well, friendly 40B is nothing more than asking us to support them. And I have done it in the past, just so you know. The one on Mansfield Avenue that was built behind Dunkin' Donuts, behind McDonald's, I actually supported that 40B. And I probably would have considered and supported the one that the board approved recently in an effort to keep it above 10%, which is very important. But at the same time, this board was approached over a month ago about another potential 40B on North Washington Street. And they came here to request that the board support a friendly 40B. The board never responded to that. And I'm suggesting that we need to respond to it. And we don't have to put any provisions in there. I know there's an opinion from council, talking to Chairman Rich. He got an opinion from council that stated that he wanted to put conditions in it. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is this board needs to send a letter to Mass Housing, to the contractor who approached us before they get into a process where they're looking at it and they're building or planning a 40B, and they get down the road and then Mass Housing says, well, they spent all this money, we need to see if we can help them out. That's not where we should be. We are at 10.01 to 10.02%. We are there. We are one of 54 communities in the 351 communities and cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in compliance. We are one of the very few that have done it. Why don't they go somewhere else? Because we're making it too easy for them. My suggestion is very simple. Just a straightforward letter. Thank you for coming before the board. Thank you for asking us for consideration of a friendly 40B. We are at 10.02%, and therefore at this time we would deny or decline the opportunity to work with that organization. It's a very simple approach to it. We don't have to get into details. We don't have to talk about traffic studies and all the other impact it might have on a neighborhood. It's just that simple. Just a simple response. We're already about 6 weeks out where we haven't responded, and I'm concerned that we have to figure out a way to respond, and I would suggest to the chair that we get a letter off. I don't care if town council drafts it or if it's just a simple response to a question that was asked of this board. Would you consider a friendly 40B on North Worcester Street? And we just have to give them a simple, straight answer of yes or no, and whether or not we want to exercise our rights on the chapter comprehensive permit in chapter 40B, where we are at 10.02%.
Through you, Chair. I remember them coming before us. I don't think they were asking us for any sort of approval because this board does not approve building projects.
We approve friendly 40Bs.
So, when they did come before us, they made mention that they would like it to be considered a friendly 40B project. And it is my understanding that the select board decides whether or not the town is going to engage in it becoming a friendly 40B or not.
And we held a vote that evening?
We did not. We put it off.
Put it on advisement.
I would suggest that we send them a letter saying that we would not consider that project a friendly 40B. I think that's way too many units. I think the density is way too much, and that's how I felt. The first time I had seen that project, it was that night, and that's why I wasn't comfortable voting on it. But looking into it, I think that it's just, it's way too comprehensive a housing project for the area.
Through you, Chair. Mike?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm kind of confused here. Bob was mentioning something about North Worcester Street.
No, you're
Well, no,
thinking of
Washington.
North Washington.
Washington.
Okay.
And it's South Washington. I think that,
No, that's not Washington.
is that
North
not,
Washington,
the rodeo
the old
property.
rodeo was.
Oh, the old rodeo.
Yeah,
property.
not, we're not talking about the Newcomb Street project at all. The
Okay.
old, we're talking about the old rodeo site.
And the last comment that was made that night, the chairman said, we'll take it under advisement. And I think we need to explain, we need to respond.
So I would entertain a motion if you'd like to make that in a motion, Mr. Kimball.
I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the, and I don't know who the developer was, we send a letter to the developer along with copies to Mass Housing that based on the fact that we're at 10.02% in affordable housing at this time, we would not consider a friendly 40B at this time in Norton.
I would second that. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of sending that letter to them?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
So that's 3-1. So who are we going to have draft that letter, Mr. Kimball?
Mr. Units?
Yep.
I know he's good at doing that, so we appreciate if you could do that for us.
Thank you. Number 8, maintenance and of new buildings and facilities. I believe this was also something that you asked about, Mr. Kimball.
Yeah, I'm part of the permanent building committee, and as these new buildings are becoming more and more used, I think we lose the fact in the translation that, you know, they are being utilized, and there is certain preventive maintenance that we have to do on the properties. And the reason the building committee, and I'll let Brian speak more about it, but the reason we brought it up and we wanted to bring it up at the meeting was there was an incident at the new community building where one of the smoke detectors was going into a false alarm system, having a problem with it. And when they investigated, they found out it was full of dust because the filter sitting next to it on the ceiling, the unit in the ceiling, was blowing dust onto the units. So some kind of preventive maintenance has to be done. And the building committee decided to bring it forward. Maybe perhaps Mr. Yunus could give us more insight on what the plans are in the future for taking care of these brand new buildings.
Sure. So we obviously don't have a maintenance department, but we have a maintenance coordinator. And like in this building, we have contracts with an AC contractor. We have contract for pest control. We have a contract for electrical. We have a contract for plumbing, contract for septic, and a contract for elevator maintenance. And we're investigating also something like a handyman, because we're looking at around the building, and once a year we're going to have to touch up the paint inside this building. And so a handyman that can do smaller projects rather than these technical projects. And also Chris Zahner is now working with Beth Rossi to make sure all these contracts are in place at the senior center. And I've spoken with Beth, and I've told her that Chris is to work with her only. Work with Beth Rossi only. No one else at the senior center is to discuss anything about maintenance with Chris. And he's addressing maintenance issues only, not punch list items. That's goes to our OPM. So Chris is lining up contracts. I know Beth already has the pest control, and we have the electrical, plumbing, the septic. So she doesn't need the elevator. The only thing now is the AC contract for regular maintenance on the AC.
Thank you.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm Brian Bechet. I'm the chairman of the Public Building Committee. Recently appointed as Jim Slattery retired from the position. So I wanted to give an update because he informed me that I missed the last meeting and I should come to some of these meetings, give an update. So that's what I'm here to do. So the senior center, there's a couple outstanding issues. I know Kevin and Bob are familiar with these. Some people have asked about it. So the roof is still an ongoing issue. There's some cupping in the shingles. So we're trying to figure out what the issue is. We don't know if it's an issue with the shingles or the issue with the substrate. So that's something that's still being addressed. It's on our punch list, as well as the seeding. We're having some issues with the grass. There's a lot of speculation what's going on, but the seeding season is over. It ends on June 1st. So if we seed it now, it's not going to grow anyway. So there's some conversations out there of how do we go forward. It seems like the landscaper doesn't want to come back, so that the town will have to decide whether to keep the remaining funds that are being withheld and decide how to approach it going forward. There's been discussions of maybe we put in some sod instead of reseeding it. There's also discussion that the contractor may have tried to use on-site soil instead of bringing in the proper material. So we may be testing the existing soil to see if there was something wrong with the soil, and that's why the grass isn't growing. So those items are being still currently being addressed. There's other items. I don't want to get into a whole list of them because a lot of them have been coming off the punch list. The other item is there's a little asphalt lip in one of the sidewalks where it's some differential sediment. That's still being addressed. I know it's a trip hazard, so I think it's come down since the winter thaw, so I don't think it's as bad. But to Bob's point about the fire alarm, this kind of brought this up because I know it's a separate issue, but I went over to the high school to dismiss my son for an appointment, and their fire alarm panel was beeping, driving the ladies in the office bonkers. And when I asked them what's going on, she said, well, we got a phone call in, but they can't come till June 18th. That's absolutely ridiculous. A contract for maintenance shouldn't wait. And this was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Almost a month to have a beeping. I would have hit it with a hammer. I would have lost my mind. And I know it's still doing it at the middle school for the last 3 years. My oldest son, who's a sophomore, when I used to dismiss him from the middle school, it's still beeping every day. So this was what brought up the whole conversation of maintenance. So that's what Bob's bringing that up. So, and the other thing with the senior center too, is it's a community center. And a few people have asked me this, but how is it open for the community? It closes at 4 o'clock. So how do the community get to use it? We're paying the same taxes as the seniors. So I think that needs to be in a discussion of when can it be open, what programs can be offered at night, where most of us working folk have more opportunity to go. Because during the day, it seems to be monopolized, if you will, by the seniors, which is okay because most of us can't go anyway. But I think it needs to be addressed. How, you know, I don't know if it's going to be every night, certain nights of the week, but there's things like pool tables in there. Maybe some of us want to have a pool league. I don't know, but we don't have the opportunity because there's no access to the building. So I think that needs to be addressed. Also, some other items like the generator. I'm not sure if we have a maintenance contract on that, but one of the things that's a problem with these generators is they're diesel. And they're tested, I think, once a week or maybe once a month. But sooner or later, it's going to run out of fuel. And then the building's going to need the generator when we lose power, and it's going to be empty. So that's another part of maintenance. Who's maintaining or monitoring the fuel? I think it goes back to the BMS system, but I'm not 100% positive, which is the building management system. But that's another question that was brought up by one of the residents at our last meeting. So I think that's another item that needs to be addressed. And then at the town hall, just to give you an update, the plaza out here, many of you may or may not know that there's some defects in the concrete. We're having some issues with that, but the general contractor has gone out to 2 or 3 different subs to try and get it remedied. The original contractor is just walking away, so we're going to have to deal with that. That's kind of a major punch list item. It's going to have to be done in phases so we don't disrupt operation of the town hall, because we have to remove the concrete in front of the main entrance as part of that remedy. You can see out here that the construction on phase 3, if you will, I think it's phase 3. Parking lot's almost done. They should be paving anytime in the next few weeks, and they'll be striping in this area. Will be done. I'm assuming everybody got a good look at it on your way in, but it's come a long way. I hope everybody's happy with what the select board and the public building committee and all the other committees did to bring the town hall and repair the old town hall and the senior center to life. And then a couple other items. I'm going through my list here, and this is all chicken scratches from our last meeting. So, but primarily, going forward, the OPM does not have representation on these jobs anymore. What that means is their on-site person isn't here to fix anything or to escort subs or anything.
He's here.
Till I think the end of this month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going forward, to Mike saying earlier that Beth is going to have to respond to those items, and I think, Mike, it's you for the town hall for any maintenance issues. Because one of the things that's been coming up at the PBC meeting is a lot of back and forth of maintenance versus punch lists. The PBC is responsible for building the buildings until they're complete, which includes punch list. Once it's turned over, it's the building's responsibility. So I think every building in town, I think, has a representative. You know, the library, the town hall, the highway department, but that's another thing of this whole maintenance plan. Another thing we brought up is there's a capital improvements committee in the town, and I've been asking for several years on the PBC, what's the 5-year plan? I know there's one out there. I have not seen it, but when I try to track down the committee, it seems like their meetings are sporadic. There's no once-a-month meeting like we have. So I was suggesting, can we have a mutual meeting at some point? It could just be me. Maybe Kevin can come as well. Just meet, put our heads together so that we know what's coming down the pike, because right now we don't know. And I don't think we need to keep conducting PBC meetings once these 2 projects are done. If there's nothing to talk about, we can take the summer off and reconvene in your fall or something. And then another item I brought up for some personal reasons that Bob Kimball's about, but one of the items that's been going around is a lot of trucking over on Newland Street. And one of the issues I've been having is I can't find a noise ordinance in the town. And if I'm wrong, please show it to me, because I can't.
It's not on the
find it.
agenda.
I know.
No,
So it was
it's
something
not,
I talked to Bob about it.
Sorry, it's let's try to keep it to
Oh, I'm
what-
sorry. It was just part of the discussion at the meeting. That's why I was giving an update. But I gave him some paperwork on it. We can chalk that for
Thank you.
another day. And then the rest was pretty much. Oh, and then we have another item is our secretary his term has expired and he's not seeking reappointment. So we're looking for another member I'm not quite sure what their qualifications have to be, other than the person that's leaving, I think the position was clerk or secretary. I'm not exactly sure what it was. But he drafted all the meeting minutes, sent out the agendas, ran the meetings with a computer. So we're looking for somebody to fill that.
I think that's something that you can bring up at your next meeting, and you
Yeah.
should discuss it with your board.
And he more than likely was the engineer on the committee, so we would be looking for an engineer or an architect.
So when we asked at the meeting what the process was, we were told we had to send a notice to Mike, which you've gotten, and then it has to get to the select board to make an announcement, and then start the interview volunteer process. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? All right, cool.
Could just add two quick things on
Yes,
that.
sir.
So the pavement was supposed to be tomorrow. Once again, they've canceled. The OPM's not too happy with them. Supposedly they had a equipment breakdown. So next Friday, hopefully, we have to pave it on a Friday. They want it to sit for 2 days before the fire trucks drive over it. So they want to pave it on a Friday so the fire trucks can park here when this isn't in use, and then they can finish the paving up there. And at the senior center, the landscape architect has rejected the grass, so the lawn will have to be done over. And here I'm concerned because I've reached out, and M. O'Connor says someone's supposed to be coming out next week, because I said they've got to do something with the grass here or we're going to lose it. Needs to be fertilized and something done with the weeds and mowed. And I heard the highway guys kick on the lawnmowers the other day, and I'm like, stop. It's still under warranty. They're responsible for it. Don't even think about cutting it. So hopefully they get out here next week.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Yunus, under the reappointment, it shows that the Permanent Building Committee, Mr. Mark Gershman has resigned. It shows as an attorney. Is that correct, or should it be an engineer or an attorney?
He's an engineer. I'll look at.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, discussion on Town of Norton 2021 Master Plan. Mr. O'Neill, I believe that's you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Marsan. So Paul Di Giuseppe is here. I had asked to put this on the agenda. Back in 2019 to 2021, for a 2-year period, there was a whole town-wide solicitation of ideas and concepts and priorities that were solicited from anyone in the town could participate. I think we had 4 or 5 breakout sessions, some of them in person at the Norton Cable Access, and then some of them remote when COVID hit. And and I know that nobody on the current select board was on the select board at the time. I was on the planning board, so I was very involved with it. So I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of revisit it at the time, which has been it's been 4 years, which is what the concern was when we put it together, that these things, a lot of work and money goes into it, $100,000 in total, and I think the town paid $30,000, and there was a grant for the difference, that it goes on a shelf and sits there and collects dust and nobody looks at it again, right? So the last time a master plan was developed was, I think, 1998, Paul. So it was over 20 years since the last one was done. And the intention is that they last 10 years and then you redo it and go through the same process again with a Serpent grant in order to start, to update it and that kind of thing. So I asked Paul if he could give a little bit of a background overview of the work that went into it, because if you look at a lot of the comments and the bullets in this matrix that was provided in our packet, kind of summarizes it all. But there are aspects of this plan that the select board is one of the responsible parties, and we talked a little bit about facilities, 40B. There's a whole 2.1.1 section in there that talks about control over Chapter 40B process. There's talk about developing a traffic safety committee, which Mr. Kimball had created already. There's a lot of things in the Community Preservation Act, Municipal Vulnerability preparedness for stormwater
Can
management.
say that as good as I can.
Thank you. Housing choice initiative, a lot of things that we talk about all the time that come up that we're reacting to, whether it be an agenda item or request by the public, are included in this master plan. So I know that a lot of other departments have been working on their aspects of it behind the scenes. There was a whole section on town facilities, for example. And at the time, this building hadn't been built yet, and neither was the community center. But a lot of the feedback, for example, is people, to earlier point, asked that a community center be accessible to the general community in addition to the senior population during the day. So a lot of these things that we discuss in these meetings is documented in this master plan, and I don't think we've spent enough time reviewing it and reading it cover to cover. That's why I had requested an actual hard copy, because it's hard to, it's if it's on my desk at home visible, I'm not going to forget about it, right? If it's in a file on the computer somewhere, you know, another 3-4 years can go by and we may forget all about it. So with all that being said, I guess we can turn it over to Mr. DiGiuseppe, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
Absolutely not. Thanks, Mr. DiGiuseppe. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I don't really have much prepared, but just in general, what's a master plan? Well, it's a framework. You know, it's a blueprint for how a town wants to see itself grow and change and look at areas where it wants to preserve and so forth. And so, yeah, we had probably about 2 years of outreach, and of course, COVID hit right in the middle of it. But fortunately, we were able to adapt, and we started doing our very first hybrid meetings on these, and actually had some great attendance. And the plan itself covers about 7 different areas, from land use, transportation, economic development, housing, and it identifies, working with the public, what the goals for each of those were. And then once we were working on the goals, that helped us frame actions. The good thing is we were already working on a lot of the things that the public said they wanted. Like, for example, the town hall and senior center. It was already going on. It makes its way in here, and it's great to say we can check that one off the to-do list. But one of the things I had insisted when we were working with Serpent on this was doing this action matrix that you have in front of you, because I've worked on plans for, you know, way too many years, and to me the most important part of a plan is its implementation section. Too many plans sit on the shelf. Even like the plan in 1998 was a good plan. But it was a policy plan. It really wasn't actionable. Again, good things came out of it. In fact, the zoning update came a year later. So this is, you know, that you'll see the action matrix. It identifies the goal, the certain actions, the responsible parties with it. And you'll see a lot of these are focusing on a few different areas, like update the zoning bylaws, looking at financing and funding sources to implement your plan. Coordination, collaboration, partnerships is also in here. So the good thing is you know, this plan isn't static. You know, as I was looking back at this plan today, and it's been, you know, we adopted it in 2021. Like, for example, the responsible parties, we've listed them, but this doesn't mean that this is it. You know, where a group or an individual might go and say, I want to be involved with that. It's not on the list, but that doesn't matter. It's fluid. So as I was going back through it, I was marking off certain ones that we've achieved or partly achieved, and we've actually continued to do a lot. We need a whole lot more to do on this, but I think I appreciate, you know, being back in front of you to bring this back up, because it's an important plan. And, you know, we don't have to, I'm not even going to go there, but this is an important document to look at when it comes to things like, you know, when it comes to development, zoning, you know, because this is something we should be referring back to. Like, even we were talking recently about the MBTA zoning. You know, we did make a point in our presentations to the public that there were things in here that talked about promoting different housing types and promoting it in certain areas. And of course, when we were writing this, we had no idea what was coming. We weren't envisioning it, but the good thing was when we met with the public, many people did come out and say, I remember, I'm getting older. I don't want to live in my 4-bedroom house at some point, or my parents are getting old. I don't want to put them in assisted living. So they did talk about the need to have more housing to fulfill the needs of different age groups. That wasn't the state, that was the public telling us that. And so that's why we wrote these guides the way we did.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. O'Neill.
So, Mr. Eunice, if you could go to the top few pages there, I just want to show you that what's good about it, this, in addition to all of the matrix that you're reading, is everything is color-coded based on people's preference on where they would like to see, senior housing, for example. I'm sorry. The actual link, Mike.
Okay.
If you can pull it up.
Yep.
And there were a lot of people in this room that were part of it. I know Ralph was in some of the meetings. I know Pete, I think Mr. Rich's.
I attended several of them, yeah.
Denise, I know Mr. Rich's parents. I think I saw them in some of the pictures. Yeah, keep going down. So and then we'll wrap this up. But I just wanted to kind of give everybody a quick overview and make sure that we don't forget about it and that we do reference it, because I think a lot of the discussion that we have, like I mentioned, is we're reacting to things that come across our desk, whether it be a 40B developer or a facility that's designed for senior housing, that kind of thing.
It's
This
a little bit
sets the
further, Mike.
priority. Keep going.
Yeah, we wanted to make this very easy to read for people and make it organized.
So there's a lot here, and if you study some of the color-coded legends, keep going. A lot of demographic information about the town, where the growth has been. So it's a pretty comprehensive document. It was well done. It's very helpful to have it in color because a lot of the headings you can kind of tie back to the 7 different categories that Paul had mentioned that are listed right there. So anyway, I didn't want to take too much time. There's some color coded on what people would prefer to see open spaces and natural resources. One, new open spaces to permanently protect them. 2, improved access for all ages. So we're scrolling through. So anyway, when you get a chance, look at the online version that has everything here color coded, if you would, and maybe as time goes on, we can, as a board, kind of reconvene and talk about aspects of it that we're ultimately responsible for assisting with. And then, as Paul mentioned, if it needs to be updated as a living document, and we need to, be more involved in some areas where we're not listed on the matrix today. For example, the 40B protection process, which we're not listed right now as being a, participant in. So anyway, that's it. I appreciate you hanging around, Paul, to review this, but I know nobody on the select board was on the select board at the time this was created. It went to town meeting after the complete process, and town meeting approved it, as the legislative body of the town, and us as the executive office. It's kind of important for us to make sure that we follow up on that endorsement and approval by the town. So.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Yep.
Through you, Chair. I just
Ms.
want to say, I
Luciano.
refer to the master plan often when I'm looking at certain things that are coming before the board, just to see what did the master plan state. I think this is a great summary document, but to your point, several of them I think we've either completed or at least partially completed. It'd be nice if we could have a summary of sort of like a status update on some of these, like an extra column added that we could look at, and then maybe prioritize a couple that we want to look at as a town that are maybe listed as high or immediate priority to kind of put on our plate if they haven't been addressed yet. Make sure that we're addressing them going forward.
I can work with some other department heads.
Yeah.
And we can get something back to you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kimball.
The planning board did a great job on this. There's a lot of information in here, which is very, very important. I have to tell you, it's probably the first time I'm looking at it, to be honest with you. This happened during the pandemic. A lot of us weren't paying much attention to what was going on in town government at that time. But there's a lot of very, very good information, very pertinent information. And I think it would be in everyone's best interest if this is on the planning board website, right? You can go.
Correct. You can just Google
If
it.
someone at home has the opportunity to go on and look at it in color online, you can take a look at some of the ideas and strategy that the planning board and the planner did at that time. And I think you'll find that most of it is something that we should be, as Mrs. Luciano just mentioned, we should be addressing some of it ourselves. But I think it's a great read for someone. If you have an hour or two, I would highly recommend you take the time to go on to the planning board website and take a fast peek at how it all came to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Mr. O'Neill, I just want to say thank you for putting this, having this put on the agenda tonight. I think this is a very important thing for us to spend time on discussing and looking into. And I would suggest that from time to time we put this back on the agenda and we can look back and see where we are on, especially the things that that this board is responsible for, and see where we are as far as are we making any progress in any of the areas that we're responsible for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even ask for an update for some of the boards that are responsible for certain sections, like this conservation items or planning board. Yeah. That'd be
So,
great.
thank you, Mr. DiGiuseppe.
Thank you.
The next item is to discussion on transparency of meeting materials.
Yeah, through your chair. Mike, I remember, I think a couple years ago now, maybe, we had a discussion about posting meeting materials online, and I thought we had agreed that we would start posting stuff online, but it seems like we have not been. And I know there were certain particular things we concerned about, privacy considerations and stuff like that, that we wouldn't be able to post, and we were all agreeable with keeping those items out. Are we not able to post online for some reason?
What we were talking about is that, say, like when you have a liquor license,
Yep.
we'll just have a folder here for the board.
Yep.
And then in your packets will just be the public information that we can share.
Correct.
And we could just, when that packet gets emailed to you, it could get put up on.
And
But other items too, other agenda items too, right? If there's materials that we're looking at, like for instance, tonight, looking at proposed policies or whatever, like that stuff should be easy enough to be able to post for the public to review prior to our meeting, so they can come informed and ask questions if they want to. It'd be great.
Mr. Chairman, was this policy just adopted by the select board, or was it other groups, do you know? I mean, we have other committees in town too that have public meetings. You have the finance committee and planning board and all these other, was it just the select board? that
We talked about it in the
created policy?
we talked about it in the context of just the select board at the time. I know that there are other committees that do already post stuff publicly. I think it's up to each board to address it on their own, but I think we talked about it at the time as just the select board.
Okay, thank you.
I think that if we as a select board take the lead with this and make it the policy townwide, that if you're going to have a meeting, people are going to want to know what you're talking about. It doesn't, I mean, having an agenda item with having no resources to look into isn't really helpful. If you're at the meeting, it's great if it's up on the board, and you can always go back and refer to it if you because all of these meetings are recorded. So if we have nothing less than like we had like you just had the whole master plan. I mean, we were running through that, so we should be able to get this stuff with the technology we have in this building. There's no reason that we can't make sure that everybody is able to know what we're talking about.
I agree, and I'm not a technology person. I know that some boards have used Dropbox, maybe. Does that sound about right?
We use Dropbox.
Dropbox, right? So I don't know if that's something that would be easy enough for other boards to implement. I have no idea what the challenges would be with implementing that for other boards.
And I just know that one of the issues that I know that this board is going to have, I can't speak for other boards, is that our agenda sometimes changes right up until the 48-hour period. And so the work that Jen's doing in her office just to get us the material, never mind
Yeah.
make it accessible to people. Sometimes that's a challenge as well, but, and
Yeah, but if we had like a Dropbox, we could add stuff as we know, right?
as it adds, and I don't know how the Dropbox works, sorry. I'm assuming it's just like it sounds, but. I'm more of a paper guy, so.
That's right. Mr. Chair, speaking of paper, I attended one of the Mass Select Board Association training sessions, and they talked about the public records law. And speaking of paper, it's great that everything is digital, that our entire packet is digital. As long as there's nothing confidential in there, or the people that submitted the request to be put on the agenda, they don't want to remain anonymous. As long as all the information is,
All
public,
vetted,
public,
right.
public,
Yep.
then just sharing that link to that file is ideal. But in the event that anybody wants an entire printed copy, then there's a cost associated with that as well as time. So any town doesn't have to comply unless the cost of producing the packet is assumed by the person who's requesting it. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Another
And a
thing that we
timeline
could look
does have to
into,
be-
and maybe we could look into, see what the cost would be if somebody says, hey, I'd like to have the whole packet available to me. I know that we used to have agendas out where people could come, but that was before we had all these screens up where everything was televised too. But yeah, if somebody wanted every packet that we got, we'd have to murder every tree in the town to print them, so. Okay. Any other business? Not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours. Okay, on to old business. As far as discussion of hiring an interim town manager, I'm going to move that to our next meeting, and we'll probably talk about that and go into executive session after the next meeting. Discussion on repairing of King Philip Road. I'm sure that there are several people here that have been waiting all night for us to talk about this.
So I know we just got this this week. You had asked Sharon Everett to look into the issue. And as Sharon says in her letter, the town adopted, the last paragraph, the town has adopted a bylaw, and it's a private way bylaw. And upon receiving petitions signed by at least 2/3 of the abutters of a private way, and after approval by town meeting, the town may make temporary repairs to private ways. Said temporary repairs shall include only the filling in of holes or depressions with sand, gravel, cinders, or other suitable materials in order to make said way passable, but shall not include construction, reconstruction, or resurfacing of said ways. Drainage shall not be included.
Hang on.
We can't read it because you're too far ahead on the page.
It's right there. It's the bottom
That
paragraph.
last paragraph.
Okay, sorry.
And so then on the next page, town council went into what we talked about before, the process of a private way becoming a public way. And the process is that you would send a letter to the planning board, and the planning board would review it, and they'd make a non-binding recommendation back to you. And then you'd have to approve it or reject. And then after that, it would have to go to town meeting. And then it was also talked about the special act. And Sharon attached a few special acts. And I will say there's 4 of them attached there. All 4 of them require betterments from the private way, the homeowners on the private way. There isn't one of them that does not require betterments.
So, and also, I don't know if we've discussed this since our last meeting, but at town meeting, it was voted that we increased the highway department's budget for doing temporary repairs.
Yep. So they, that
As
money.
of July 1st, they'll
Right.
be able to,
That money will be available July 1, and then Jared can go out there. and
okay.
Do some temporary repairs.
So, Mike, just for clarification, either one of these options, one or two, either accepting the private portion as a public way or the special act to authorize permanent repairs, those both have to go to town meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Nicholas Adams from 65 King Philip Road. Because of the complexity of the situation, we've certainly reduced our sites somewhat, and now we're just hoping to get the repairs done so that the roughest parts of the road, which include sort of 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch ruts, can get filled. And so I'm very excited to hear about the budget increase for the pavement repairs. The longer-term issue regarding repaving the whole road, we can talk about, but you said that the budget will have the additional funds available after July 1st?
Correct.
And so we're talking about, what's that, a month from now, 3 weeks from now?
Yep.
And so we won't expect any improvements in the meantime, is that correct?
I think that as far as I know, that whole budget has been used for the year. And
Yeah, 'cause it was
it was
$1,000.
such a minimal amount for the amount that he had. So that's why it was increased by $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
To try to get it some.
So that additional budget, so we should not expect any repairs prior to that time?
Right.
Okay, so
I
should
would.
I fill the ruts with gravel? Can we do it ourselves?
It's
Is
not
there a
the town's
liability
road.
to that for us or the town?
Whoever lives on that road owns that road. It's not the town's road.
So we can fill the potholes
Yes.
personally?
I'm not going to tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do on your property, as I wouldn't want you telling me what I should do with my property.
So it's a private road, even though the town is the owner of the land underneath it? Because when I saw the map, it clearly showed a 40-foot wide.
No, the town only took an easement for the sewer project, so
They only took an easement. Okay. So let me think for a second. I think Sherry wants to speak for a second.
careful.
Sherry Savoy, 115 King Philip Road. So, as I discussed, and I did send, an email to both Alec and Mike, addressing what was going to be done for July 1st. That wasn't answered. We talked about in the last meeting, or the meeting before the last meeting, because there wasn't much said in the previous meeting, the one before that, Jared would do sections of the bad areas, not just throw asphalt in the holes. So that's my question. What type of repairs are we doing?
So I think that's what Mike was just reading off to you. It's just the temporary repairs that can be done.
That doesn't answer my question, though. Is what type, because we discussed this in the meeting before last. If we can patch, we're talking sections. Denise, right? Is it Denise?
Correct. But what it says
Sorry.
is filling of holes or depressions with sand, gravel, cinders, or other suitable materials in order to make said passable, but shall not include construction, reconstruction, or resurfacing of said ways. Drainage
Correct.
shall not be included. That's what's
Correct,
allowed.
but I'm saying they'll do bigger patches, because we know from the past that just dumping the asphalt in the holes is not working, so it's almost pointless. You know what I mean? So we discussed, I'm just going by the past meeting, Denise, what
Ja-
we discussed
Jared-
with Jared.
I don't know what
I
he does for
know.
patching.
I know, so maybe I should contact him to find out if he's plans, because again, Alec did not answer that question. Mike did not answer that question. I get this, and I would like a copy of this if I can get it, please. The letter, yep, with the stipulations and whatnot.
Absolutely.
What's that? Oh, it's not many. The letter's 2, and then or 3.
Yeah, Mike, you have my email address if somebody could email it to me.
Yep,
So
okay.
again, I'm just going back to the meetings that we were all here and how it was, Alec mentioned it. I thought Bob I think you all were on board that we can somehow get bigger areas patched, and Jared was here, and it's on record, so it's, it's in the Norton Media Center. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to clarify. For July 1st, what type of repairs are we going, and I get what you're saying, Denise, you can read it word for word, and so can I on mass.gov, okay?
yeah.
So it's the same verbiage. I just want to make sure that at least those really poor areas will be improved a little more in the repairs. That's all I'm asking.
Jared's off this week. I'll go over it with him next week, and I'll let.
And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to do the best he can with the resources he has to make that road passable. Because that is the only reason that he's trying to do that is to make it so it's a better.
That's what I'm asking, though, because it hasn't worked in the past, Roger. I mean, it hasn't.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So I just don't want to go backwards. I want to move forward. I'm trying to be proactive.
And I think that what we're trying to do is we're trying to let you know what we as a town can do.
Right.
And what we can do is limited by what the law
Right.
says that we can do.
But we already understand that. That's been from day one I walked in this door.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
We
But-
just seem to be going over the same thing. Come July 1st, when he has the money, I'm sure he'll do the best he can with the resources he has to make that road.
Well,
as
that was just
passable
my
as-
question, because it was brought up in the meeting, Roger. It was brought up that we were going to hopefully, remember when John got up here from Conservation, as long as we don't change the elevation,
And
he.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying that none of those people are here to say.
No, I know.
Exactly what they're going to do. And I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen either.
Right, but that's, I don't know this without asking, so that's why I'm asking you the question. Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Okay, because it was never answered. So if I'm going to communicate to the select board, I would appreciate answers when I reach out to them and not have vague answers through, I've emailed. I mean, I don't know if I should be emailing all of you at the same time. I
I
figured
think that I don't know what else we're trying to give you as the best answer as I can. I am not the guy that's going to go out there and fill the.
No, I understand that. No, I know, but I understand. But again, I don't want to. If we're going to be, I don't know when this is going to stop for us. If this is the end, we won't be back on the business anymore. The old business. Do you guys have any other answers as far as, or does it have to come from us, even though I have 70 signatures to bring this to a public meeting?
Mr. Moderator.
I've already given a petition.
I know, and we've all seen it.
Right.
Excuse me one second. Yes, Mr. Kimball.
Just to be clear, we're not going to give you any different advice than we get from town council. We can stand here and batter back and forth, and we can have a discussion about it. Sounds to me like you're trying to have us say something that we shouldn't say.
No.
And I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I will give you the information that's given to me to the best of my ability.
Right.
I think Mrs. Luciano just gave you the information. That's the only information we have at this point. I do have a question for Mr. Units. Mike, they just did over Birch Street, and all of the material was dumped down behind the Trent Memorial. Is that material that the town owns, or is that the contractor going to come and take that out, or the shavings?
It would be the towns.
It's towns?
If Jared wants it.
So if they want to fill a hole in, and they want to reach out to Jared, we've got a mountain of shavings over there. We're talking thousands of yards of shavings. It might be a solution, a temporary solution, if you're going to fill your private property before July 1st. they might be able to borrow some of that just to fill in holes. But other than that, we can't, other than waiting for Jared to give you some
Yeah, no,
explanation, that's all we can do.
Right, I'll speak to Jared, but I'm just looking for answers on past questions. That's all. I mean, simple as that. I mean, I didn't know Jared wasn't going to be here tonight. I would be emailing Jared too and not bothering you guys, you know, if that's my go-to person. But also giving the fact that this is what the attorney said, which is basically just a recap of everything we've already discussed. I don't see anything new in that whatsoever other than the special act, which is basically what, when she presented her, discussion on it, it was how it was all the other towns, and I know you guys had asked what towns you wanted the information on those other towns that were approved, the private roads were approved on.
So I'm just going to tell you that you've seen all the information that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I have no different information than what you have available to you right now.
Okay. All right. So, but again, I mean, I waited 2 hours to hear basically what we already heard, other than the special act. So, Mike, if you could send me a copy on that, and then I will discuss with everybody how we can move forward, and I will contact Jared.
All right.
Okay, I appreciate your help.
Thank
but just looking for more answers than what we've already gone over 1,000 times.
So the next two items on old business, the discussion of the remote participation policy and the discussion on the temporary flag signage policy. I received a note here from council that we may want to move any policies to our next meeting.
Okay.
Update on Elm Street.
Mr. Chair. So the question was asked about the old parking lot across from the Reed and Barton site, parcel 32-01 at the last meeting. It's a 42,253 square foot parcel. It sold on December 2nd, 2024, for $1,500, a cash sale. The seller was the RB Liquidation, Inc., and the buyer was 47 Riverworks, Inc. And the taxes due, $41,547.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kimball.
Same question, Mr. Yunus again, though. The selling price, and I understand, people can buy and sell. It doesn't. Why would this property, this buildable house lot, be sold for $1,500? And when it was sold on December 2nd, why wasn't the town giving our back taxes?
I don't know why it's sold for the price that it's sold. As far as back taxes, where it was a cash sale and it wasn't a mortgage going through a bank, no one did a lien certificate. So
how do we get our money?
If anyone comes in and tries to pull a permit, they're not going to be able to pull a permit to build on the property without paying the back taxes.
What can the town do to get our tax revenue that's owed to us, number one? I don't understand how a piece of property that we spent $500,000 to help, of course it's across the street, but we did spend $500,000 as a town to help clean up a mess that was left behind by Reed and Barton. And suddenly someone comes along with $1,500. I wish I'd had this offer myself. I would have gladly bought it for $1,500. Not quite clear about why that happened, how that happened. And I guess what I was looking for was more answers. And if I can't get them from you or from the town, I'm going to go to the Attorney General's office and start asking questions at that level. Because I don't feel it just doesn't smell, the smell test doesn't work for me here. There's something drastically wrong. And if a company pays cash for something, I get that, but if there's a lien, if there's a tax lien on the property for back due taxes, the town should be expected to get the $1,500 that's paid for it, along with the $41,547 in tax due back to us. So I guess what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning, I'm going to reach out to the Attorney General's office and try to get some clarification from the state as to how something like this can happen. Is it allowed to happen? Perhaps it is. But I can't seem to get any answers from the town on how this all transpired. And it's very disturbing to me. And I'm looking for answers, and I'll take it to the next step.
Mr.
Mr.
O'Neill?
Chair, so what was new to me is that the town didn't sell this RB liquidation, which I'm assuming RB is Reed and Barton. They must have
Bankruptcy.
acquired bankruptcy court. So we didn't sell it, Mr. Kimball. It was a private transaction between those two parties.
I totally understand that. Yeah, I guess I had a question to you then. You have a problem with the $1,500?
No, no. But if I sold my house for $1,500, nobody can say anything about it, right? So I don't. We've
But
gotta
if
get
you
our
owe
tax
back
money.
taxes on
yeah,
it,
we need
you-
our tax revenue.
I want the taxes.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember the discussion from the interested party on the Elm Street property that she was trying to acquire the land to be able to get, I think, grants, something like that, as part of the project. Now, I don't know where that project stands, if that's moving forward or whatever, but I don't know what the trigger is typically for back taxes, if it's a building permit or if it's just the acquisition. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
That's our recourse, is to, if nobody does anything with that property, then we have no recourse in.
Well, no, because now if 47 Riverworks Inc. is a legitimate company, you now have a party that's responsible.
For that property.
Right.
So
for
is,
that- those
is the taxes usually owed on the transaction of the acquisition of the property, or is it when?
It doesn't go away. So normally what would happen is someone would be getting a mortgage, they'd pull a municipal lien certificate, and the attorney would say, well, you got to pay those taxes before you can take the property. So in this instance, it's gone from the bankruptcy court, who would not pay taxes, to 47 Riverworks Inc. So at least there's someone that's responsible for that property now and is responsible for the taxes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mr. Chairman, one final question. Mr. Units, did the town ever put a lien on the property for the $500,000 we put into the restoration of that property on the other side of the street?
I don't know. I'll have to check on that. I don't know if it ever did put a lien.
I understand there's three parcels down there. I understand that the money we spent, the $500,000 we spent, was for the old warehouse itself.
Right.
But, you know, if I was told that they sold it for $1,500 because they want to develop 47 Elm Street, they want to put something in there, perhaps they need that for a Title V septic system now. You know, I would kind of understand that, but it's so little bit. The money is so ridiculous that I have to ask questions, and I'm gonna have to see if I can find out anything. And if I do find out anything, I'll report back to the board about what I find out.
And we don't know what condition this property's in, and they need a septic system, and I don't know if it, what the square footage requirement is in that zone either. It may be larger.
Buildable.
Yeah. So,
Thank you. Town managers report. An update on Standard & Poor's.
Yep, we did have our phone call interview with Standard & Poor's a couple weeks ago, and we did maintain our AA plus rating. We were hoping to go to a AAA, and the night we had that call, I heard how the U.S. government, federal government's rating was dropped. I'm like, oh damn, forget the AAA. We're going to stay at AA plus, but we did maintain that and stay at AA plus. And I just wanted to share with you one of the things I did give them, which they wanted, was the 5-year projections. And as you can see, when we get out to FY29, we'd be looking at a deficit right now of 588,000. that's all speculative. We don't know what's going to happen with local receipts, and we've done our best to figure out what they go up each year and what we could project for the future. But we would have to keep an eye on that as we go forward. And I know I wasn't a fan of using $500,000 for the school department from the stabilization fund, and that I just included with this for you to see that since 2002, 2003, the school department's down 885 students, and just since I've been here in the 14 years, it's down 300 something students. But somewhere along the line, some adjustment's going to have to be made there. I don't know what it is. I can only speculate. I know the school department is getting out of the school choice business, and they've also asked Reed's Collaborative to leave. So I can only speculate. Maybe they're thinking about closing a school in the future because they're losing revenue with those two actions. So I don't know what the plan is. That's something you'll have to have a conversation with the school committee because they do that. But
Mr. Chairman.
Just wanted to share that.
Mr. Kimball.
Mr. Enos, for clarification, the school choice numbers are included in these enrollments?
They are.
Okay. And, I see a lot on Facebook, and I don't go on there a lot, but when I do, when you mentioned recently about possibility of having to build additional schools, and I don't understand why that conversation is being had out there when you start looking at the enrollments and how they're dropping. If you take away school choice, it's going to be really dropping the student base. I forget how many school choice kids we had last year. I believe just over 200, but I don't quite remember how many. And I think be interesting to see what happens in the very near future if that program starts to fizzle out. It's my understanding that no new additional grades are being brought in at this time under school choice.
Right.
So the kids that are in the system, obviously, are going to be has to work through, which is the right way to do it.
And if you look, 2005, 2006, the middle school had 832 students, and 2024, 2025, 527 students. So you could throw an extra grade into the middle school too. I know I always hear it would mess up the pods, but hopefully they could figure that out.
Well, and at the rate we keep pushing back on building projects, we'll see more decline. But it's interesting to me that James had 4 years where we had a surplus. I don't think I've seen a surplus year yet, ever.
Mr. Chair, so is this kind of a first pass, Mike, of a 5-year budget plan,
Yeah.
basically? Did he collaborate with the other departments on this, like the school department? It looks like it doesn't appear, based on the operating expenditures, that these would be level service budgets going forward.
No,
Because
we
it
ju-
shows like a 2% increase.
Right. We're just looking at 2.5%, 3% increases over the years.
Okay.
So
basically,
could be
a
worse.
budget to stay under the levy limit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is he going to share this model with the finance committee? An actual?
This is mine.
You created this?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're gone, are you going to hand it over to James?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I will.
And then if he could, share it with the finance committee. If there are there formulas behind all these numbers?
No, these are just. I didn't put any formulas for the percentages. No.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks for putting it together, Mike.
Thanks.
It's a good first pass. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Kimball.
say to everyone here that in my 30-odd years of being involved in the town, if we could only hope that this would happen, but these numbers are going to change every single year for the next 5 years.
All those years, have you seen a surplus yet?
Never. Never.
Well, I hear like businesses now are trying to plan, are they going to be tariffs tomorrow or aren't they going to be tariffs tomorrow? And they're ordering stuff and they're praying that the ships get here before the tariffs come on because they've ordered the stuff and it could be too expensive when it hits.
Other towns do have 5-year plans, budget forecasts.
Yeah.
I know that, so it doesn't hurt to have the model built, Mr. Kimball, and then
Yeah, I
modify it
know,
over
I
time,
agree.
and
Just
you can
don't-
always track it.
Don't
and
bet
see
your
it.
house on it, is all I'm saying.
Right.
So I think we already did the update on the outstanding work for the new town hall and the new senior community center. So just looking for a couple of updates on the other two
Sure.
things. Yeah.
So on the fish and game ramp,
Yes.
that's been paved, and they hope to be open within 3 weeks on that. So that project's almost completed. On the Farmer Senior Center, still waiting on National Grid to have their surveyors present a plan for easements on that, so we can look at selling that property eventually.
Do we have a contact at National Grid that I can call?
Yeah.
Could you just give me that information? Because if we just seems like that seemed like it's been taking a long time to you.
It always takes a long time with them.
So that's yeah. Okay. I don't have anything else. We have the warrants that'll be taken care of. The our next meeting date is going to be.
We have to vote on the warrants? We have to vote on the warrants, or does that change?
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
I know you didn't announce Select Board's report, and I just wanted to mention.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the last Serpide meeting, worth mentioning to you guys, there is a new 2024 Climate Act that was rolled out, I think, last fall. And so Serpide has issued comments back to the government, Massachusetts Energy Facilities Siting Board, on behalf of the municipalities. But they've also encouraged the municipalities to also individually submit feedback to this new law. So what the law states is that for certain projects, I think particularly solar panels and wind turbines, that the developer would go directly to the state for approval for those projects, and it bypasses the town regulations and bylaws. And so we would not have the ability or the authority to review the projects individually. It would be a state-approved project. And so the feedback that they're getting is all the things you'd anticipate.
My first three thoughts?
Yeah. The comment period has actually already closed, but Serpide said that they had expressed, this committee had expressed that they would still receive comments in. My suggestion was I was going to just take the Serpide letter and sort of mimic it very similarly for us. So there's another, like, on top of it, like more feedback saying these are all the issues that we have with this proposed regulation.
Could you get that information out to us so that we can look at it
Yep.
and then we can have a maybe put that letter together for our next agenda?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Do we need to vote on these warrants?
The
Mike?
warrants we have to do.
I think what you have to do is you'll have to wait till Alec is here because he signed them and he'd just be reporting on them.
Right.
Just for clarification, I know I've been out of the mix for a while. We used to approve every warrant
We've just
article.
been
Have we
appointed.
stopped doing that now?
The way it is now, it's one person from
Is
the board
designated
has
for
the
it?
authority to
Yeah,
sign,
so we-
and they just report at the next meeting that they've signed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So we'll put those on the next agenda.
I think, Bob, when you redid the chairs and stuff, they reappointed Alec as the
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our next meeting would have been scheduled for June 19th, but that's a holiday, so we're going to have it on June 17th at 5:30 here.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday, the 17th at 5:30 here.
Mr. Chair, on that agenda, could we put on the noise regulations that Brian mentioned earlier? Just I'll make copies of this so people can take a look at it. I believe it's the planning board, not us, that will look at this, but it might be worth, I'll just make a copy and everybody can take a peek at it, but we should probably talk about it. Maybe we send it upstairs to the planner.
I would
and
say,
have
could
them
we
take a
bring
look at
that
it.
to the Traffic Safety Committee and see what they think of that as well?
It says nothing, a lot of it has nothing to do with automotive. It goes on residential, construction. It's not just traffic safeties. It's a lot of different issues of as far as mufflers.
Noise.
Noise, these motorcycles without mufflers anymore, that kind of stuff. So it is partially part of the traffic safety, but I think it's something we should have a conversation with the planner about.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Here we are at the end.
Can I make a motion? I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you all for coming. Thank you for staying with us for the whole meeting.